back to my channel. My name is Ege, and today we're going to be looking at my worst and best books according to Goodreads. So I've been seeing this video around for a while now, and I wanted to do it. I think at the time where everyone was doing it, I really wanted to film the video and just post it and everything, but at that time your girl was busy, literally did not have time for myself. So I finally have time to film it now, which is why I'm late to the party once again. But anyway, I really just enjoyed watching people do this video, so I want to make my own even if I'm late to the party. So basically this entire video is basically just arranging my videos, arranging the books I've read according to ratings, and then the books with low ratings will be the worst books I've read this year, and then the books with really high ratings will be the books that are best books that I've read this year. And so let's see what Goodreads thinks about some of the books that I have read this year, and which it thinks is my worst books and the ones it thinks is my best books. I feel like I'm over-explaining at this point, so let's just start. For the worst books I've read this year, the first book according to Goodreads is Euphoria by Jessica, and this book has only 9 ratings on Goodreads, which honestly is not a shock to me because this book is a book by an indie author, a Nigerian indie author, so you can see the level of exposure this type of book will get, which is next. I feel like you can hear some people's voice in the background. I'm sorry. That's my cousin's voice. Let's just try and ignore it. And then they're also constructing something close to this place. So, yeah, I'm really sorry. Anyway, so the first is Euphoria by Jessica, like I said. And it has just 9 ratings on Goodreads. And by the way, if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes because I can't keep all this information in my head. I'm sorry. This is a book, I read this book last year. It's a romance book. It's by an indie author, a Nigerian indie author, so you can see that the exposure the exposure of this book is next to nothing. It's non-existent at this point. And I think around the time that it came out, I saw like 1 or 2 people talking about it, and then that was the end. Anyway, I gave this book 2 stars. I didn't really enjoy it. It's a series known as the Twin Bliss Results series, which is like a series where I think some Nigerian indie authors came together to write like this series where different couples come together, they meet at these resorts, and then like, they meet at some point at these resorts, but like it's like a series, it's written by different authors. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, this particular series follows this married couple who are having some problems in their relationship. Like they don't like each other anymore. Like the relationship at this point is toxic, and so they decide to try and come back together by spending a romantic weekend or so at the Twin Bliss Resort. And yeah, so as I was saying, so the couple, their relationship, for me, I can't really remember the book, but like it was kind of toxic, but they were like trying to see if they can salvage their marriage, so they went for this romantic getaway. I think there was cheating involved in this book too. I can't really remember. I didn't really like it. I think it was mostly because of the cheating, and yeah, I honestly can't remember a lot about this book. Will I agree with Goodreads on this one? Honestly, I don't know. This book is by an indie author, a Nigerian indie author, so I would like the book to at least reach more people, like, because I know this book definitely has its audience. I might have not been the particular audience for the book, but I don't know. Anyway, that was like, according to Goodreads, one of the worst books I've read. The next is Lockdown Zone by Unequal. This book had 16 ratings. I gave it 3 stars. Honestly, the 3 stars I was being too generous with this book, honestly, because it's basically a book about like there's a virus, there's a monster that broke out in Japan, and then there's this girl that wakes up in her house, and then she tries to get out of the house because the monster is in the building, and anytime she tries to get out, she gets killed by the monster. So anytime she tries to come out of the building, she gets killed by this monster, and then she wakes up and has to repeat the entire process. So basically she has to try and escape the building without getting killed, or she has to start all over again. I didn't completely get it, mostly because I stopped after chapter, I think I read up to chapter 3 then stopped, so I didn't completely get it. Yeah, that's basically it. So I gave it 3 stars. I was honestly being too generous because I didn't completely get it, but I did not want to like fault the book since I did not complete the entire thing. The next book, according to Goodreads, that was one of the worst books I've read, is Haven by Timmy Waters. This has 38 ratings on Goodreads, and I gave it 3 stars. This is basically about this young lady. I can't remember her name. I reviewed this book on Instagram. I'll leave a picture here. I reviewed this on Instagram. I gave this 3 stars. At that time I enjoyed it. It's about this young lady. She's a person with autism, and she has this best friend. Yeah, she has this best friend who I think she enters a fake relationship with him or something like that. Yeah, like her best friend is a politician. He wants to be a politician, like he wants to get elected into office, and I think her best friend is gay, and he wanted to get into office, but because of the society we live in, they are in Nigeria. Nigeria is a homophobic country, so because of all that, he cannot be openly gay and get into office. It's not possible. Nobody will vote him in. Like, this country is homophobic, so it can't work. So because of that, he enters into a fake relationship with her in order to keep his secrets. And then they went for a holiday for this resort. By the way, Haven and Euphoria are in the same series, the Twin Resorts series. Yeah, so basically they go to these resorts, that's the Twin Bliss Resorts. I can't remember why, but they go there, and then I think she meets someone there. I've forgotten the young man's name, but he's supposed to be like the main love interest. She meets him there. I think he likes her instantly, and things go from there. A lot of things happen in this book, which I really enjoy. I think one of the things I most enjoyed about this book is how the characters were portrayed. How like fear, like I feel like one thing I liked was how the portrayal of how fear can make people do like the worst, how fear can make people be the worst versions of themselves, which was basically what happens with the main girl's best friend, the one she's pretending to be in a fake relationship with. I enjoyed the book. It was a really okay read. Honestly, I think I would recommend this book to people. It was an okay read. Yeah, but it got 38 ratings. Like, it only has 38 ratings on Goodreads, and I think mostly because this book is also by a Nigerian indie author, so it doesn't have a lot of exposure. Not a lot of people know about this book, because I feel like if more people knew about this book will get like a higher rating, because it's actually an okay read. The next book that, according to Goodreads, is the worst book I have ever read is Behind Every Man by Zukiswa Wana. I got 71 ratings on Goodreads. I gave this book 2 stars. This book is basically, at this point I can't remember some of these characters' names, so I'm not going to talk about their names if I don't remember them. But it's about this young lady who is married to this young man. He's like a really rich and successful man. They live in, I think, Johannesburg, South Africa, and he's like this really big, like a very big man in South Africa. Everybody knows him and her by association. And basically she's known as a mother. She's known as this big man's wife, but nobody knows her as herself. So basically she tries to break out of this box that people have fit her in to be a mother and a wife. Like, so she tries to like break out and start a business of her own and become independent, because she was tired of depending on her husband. And yeah, this was actually an okay read. I feel like if I had read this book when I was younger, I would have enjoyed it more and it would have made more impact on me. So I feel like this is a book for entry level people. The writing was relatively simplistic also, so I feel like this is a book that a younger person, like a younger version of myself, maybe me in junior secondary school, that's like from 13 to 15, I guess, I would have appreciated this book more if I had read this while I was younger, like secondary school, junior secondary school to be specific, but just while I was younger, or maybe when I started reading. If I had read this book, I would have just, it would have made a huge impact on me, because it's just like entry level feminism type book about a woman learning to be independent and standing for herself and choosing herself above everyone else. It's a really good book. I would recommend for like to younger audience or people that are just starting out reading. I feel like you would appreciate the book more at that point. And also trigger warning for men, because the main character's husband in this book, he's sexist, he's homophobic, he's misogynistic, he's a patriarchal, backward thinking, a woman belongs in the kitchen type of thinking human being. He's actually not that bad of a person, but at the same time he's very what's that word, his thinking is very dated. Like some of the things he says, I'm just like, young man, you can't be thinking this way in this day and age. To be fair, this book wasn't published recently, it's like an old book, but at the same time his thinking is very dated. He's very, there's this word for ignorant. Yeah, he's very ignorant, but I feel like at the end of the day he means well, but at the same time he's very ignorant and his thinking is very dated. Plus, I think the only issue I have is this book, which is not really an issue, because like I said, I feel like this book is for younger people just starting out the reading life, so they won't really have a problem with it. Is that certain things, the way certain events unfolded in this book, they were unrealistic for me, because I just expected more. Like the way, like the young lady now in this book, she wanted to start a business, and this lady literally did not experience any like hiccup on her journey. Like she just decided, I want to start a clothing business, and everything was just going smoothly for her. Like it felt unrealistic to me. But I feel like I said, this book is something for younger audience. Like it's not really a very heavy read, something like entry level type book. So yeah, anyway, it was a 2-star read for me. But it's like, let me just say 2.5 star, because it's not a bad book at all. I just felt like I would have liked this book more when I was younger than where I am now. I've read better books that I've read books that explore the themes that this book was trying to explore better, nuanced way. So this one just felt very too simplistic for me. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So yeah, but still an okay read. I would recommend this to, like, I've said it before, but like younger people and people just starting the reading life. I feel like this is like entry level type book that will just be easy to get through, and you can finish in a day, and will just lift you up and enlighten you, that kind of thing. I think we've talked enough about this book. This is not a bad book at all, but it's not very popular. Again, I feel like it's because it's an African book. So yeah, African books are not very popular. It got just 71 ratings. I don't know if this author is an indie author though, but I would also like to read more from this author. I enjoyed the book, even if it was simplistic, relatively simplistic. I enjoyed it, so I would like to read more for this author. Then the next book, according to Goodreads, that was my worst book I've ever read, is Apricot Jam by Imogen Markwell Tweed. It got 82 ratings. I gave this 2 stars. This is like a Christmas sapphic book. That's all I can remember. It's really short, like I think an hour or 2 long. There's like a novella. It's really short. It's a sapphic Christmas romance. That's just all you need to know. I literally cannot remember the plot or what I thought about this book. All I know is that I gave it 2 stars. It takes place in a coffee shop. There's the coffee shop owner, and there's someone that works at the coffee shop, and then there's a romance between the 2 women. And that's all. It's a Christmas sapphic romance. I would recommend it for Christmas time. If you're looking for a sapphic book to read during Christmas, I would recommend it at that time. But I can't remember it at all. But I gave it 2 stars. But it was okay. It's not like it was a bad book. It was just, there was nothing memorable about it. But it's like just a sweet, fun, short Christmas type book to read during the holiday season. The next book is Dawn Spell by Sarah K. Wilson. This book, I honestly really like this book. This is an underrated fantasy book. I think it's a really good fantasy book. I read this in 2020. I honestly want to reread the series this year. But before we go into what it's about, let's just tell you the ratings. So it has 98 ratings on Goodreads, and I gave it 5 stars. I think I read it either 2019 or 2020. Yeah, one of those years. But from what I can remember, I really enjoyed the series. So basically, it's about this young man who his sister gets kidnapped. Yes, his sister gets kidnapped to be sacrificed to the gods. So basically, there's this world or this kingdom. Yeah, it's a world that has 5 kingdoms, and each of these kingdoms are built on dragon, like literal dragons. There was a spell that made okay, let's start like this. These dragons used to terrorize the people in this city before, and then some people came, some heroes, yeah, they used to call them heroes of legend or something like that, came and fought against this dragon, and they were able to subdue this dragon and put them to sleep. And like I think every 100 years or so, they have to like sacrifice someone in order to make the dragons continue sleeping. So unfortunately for this young man, his sister was chosen to be the person that would be sacrificed in order to put the dragons to sleep. But the young man is not listening to all this. He just wants to save his sister. So he tries to find different ways to like save his sister from getting killed in order to save the kingdom. And then there's this young lady who is a guard, and I think she can sense magic. So they put her on a hunt to find this young man that is trying to rescue his sister in order to stop him from like making the ceremony where they kill his sister, and it never happened. So basically she's chasing him and he's chasing the people, his sister, like he's trying to save his sister. So the interesting part about this book is that the young man has this ability where he's able to be possessed by the spirits of these old legends. Like by legends, I mean the people that originally put these dragons to sleep. He's able to summon them and be possessed by them. So basically, I think he has to perform a ceremony where it's kind of like doing drugs or something like that, but they possess him through the ceremony. And then these different people, like these legends as they call them, are very unhinged characters. Like the risks involved with getting possessed by these people is that sometimes he can be possessed by one of them that literally has lost his mind, like a psycho, and this person would just, instead of helping the main character try and achieve his goal of rescuing his sister, the legend that possesses him can just decide to go on a killing spree and like kill everybody in that area. Like he gets possessed by very unhinged characters. There was even one that's like a thief, and then this person, instead of going to save the sister, he went to like the bank, he robbed the bank, robbed the castle. Like it was honestly a wild ride. I really enjoyed it, and I honestly want to complete the series, if not this year, next year. There are 5 books in the series, and I think I read 2 books at the time. Yeah, I read 2 books, but I think I will try and complete the series this year, either this year or next year, because it was really fun. I really had a good time. The sheer risk of the fact that anybody, like any of these people, the way they talk about them initially before we started seeing these legends were like they were heroes, noblemen, and then so this young man went to get this ability thinking he was going to be a smooth sailing ride. After he gets them, like he'll just get them and they'll just help him because they are noble people, and then coming to face the realities that these legends were not actually what they were made to seem like. We have a killer, serial killing psychopath, there was a thief, different types of people, and all of them had their own propaganda. Like I think only 1 or 2 of the legends actually cared about him getting his sister out. The rest, the others, they had their own, their own thing they wanted to do. Like the one that wanted to just kill people, the one that was stealing, different. It was sharp fun. It was a wild ride. I really enjoyed it, and I think I will continue the series this year if I remember and have the chance to. But I gave it 5 stars, but it only has 98. Yes, 98 rating. It's highly underrated. I think more people should read this book. And honestly, if I finally end up completing the series, I think I'll do a review on it, because I just feel like this series deserves more love than it's getting. So the next book, according to Goodreads, that's one of the worst books I've ever read, is Hamatan Raid by Aisha Haruna Attar. This got 126 rating. I gave this 3 stars. I think I read this in 2020. Yeah, around the time that I started my bookstagram. This was one of the first books that I read and reviewed on my page. So I'll leave, I reviewed it on my page. So I'll leave the picture here. I was really proud of this picture when I took it. Anyway, so this book basically is a multi-generational story. It follows 3 generations of women that takes place in Ghana. I think during the Ghanaian Civil War. Was it the Civil War? I'm not too sure, but I know that there was a war. I think a civil war, and it follows 3 children. I honestly can't remember the plot of this book. Like, I can't remember at all. I can't even pretend to remember, but I remember really enjoying it. I think the only downside to this book was that the ending felt very rushed and it was underwhelming, but it was still a really good read and I liked it. Of Unequal, it got 133 ratings. I gave this 3 stars. I really enjoyed this book. This book takes place in Unequal, Bayelsa, which is a state in Nigeria. It follows Ebinimi, who is a mechanic, and Ebinimi is just something else. Ebinimi is a character. Ebinimi is, if Ebinimi was my mechanic, we would have issues every other day, because Ebinimi is always doing things that would annoy me. Anyway, it was a really fun book. This is a very light-hearted read. It's a fun book. It takes place in a city other than Lagos in Nigeria, and I don't really have a lot to say about it, but it's a really good book. I would recommend it. I gave this 3 stars. Then the next book. Now, the final 2 books that, according to Goodreads, are the worst books I've read are Pleasant View and Season of Crimson Blossom, and I personally feel attacked by this one because these are 2 of my favorite books. Like, Pleasant View is one of my favorite books this year, and then Season of Crimson Blossom is one of my favorite books of 2020. So I felt attacked by Goodreads for putting this as one of the worst books I've ever read, because I love these books so much. So I don't understand why people haven't read it, but it's fine. They're African and Caribbean books, so we don't usually get the spotlight, so I understand. So Pleasant View got 345 ratings, and Season of Crimson Blossom got 228 ratings, which is actually not so bad. But at the same time, how dare Goodreads not rate my books? We move on to the books that Goodreads. Now we move on to books with high ratings that, according to Goodreads, are the best books that I've read this year. And the first of them is The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. This has over 200,000 ratings on Goodreads. I gave this 4 stars. Do I agree with Goodreads on this one? Yes, this is a really good book, and I feel like this is a book that everybody should read. So yeah. Then the next book is the book from the Grisha verse. I'm talking about Shadow and Bone, 6 of Crows, Libaduko. It has over 100,000 ratings on Goodreads. I gave, overall, I feel like I'll give the books in Grisha verse 4 stars, but Shadow and Bone specifically, I gave 3 stars because I don't like Alina and Mal. Why am I confusing their names? I don't like Alina and Mal, but yeah, I still like the series overall, but those 2 characters are annoying as hell. The next book is Red White. But I'm not going in depth about this book because these books are relatively really popular, like everybody knows about them. So the next book is Red White and Royal Bull. This has like 5,000 ratings on Goodreads, and I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It's a really cute romance. I liked it. I heard that it's getting an adaptation, so I'm really excited for that. The next is The Hating Game by Sally Dawn. Has over 4,000 reviews on Goodreads. I gave this 5 stars. Absolutely loved this. I think I read it at 2020. Yes, I read this book in 2020. I adored it. It was one of my favorite romance books that year. It has an adaptation. Still haven't watched the adaptation, but one day I will watch it. But I'm not ready to watch it yet. The next Goodreads. The next is The Unhoneymooners. This one I don't agree with. It has over 4,000 reviews on Goodreads. It's not one of the best books I have ever read. To be very honest, it's not at all. I can't remember the specifics because I read it in 2020, but I gave it 3 stars. It was, I feel like, can I even remember the On Honeymooners? It was like an okay read, but like, I know this book is hyped on TikTok, and I don't think it deserves the hype because I don't think it was that good. I feel like the smut was almost fade to black at some points, but don't take me for my word because I read this book in 2020, so I can't remember the details. But I just remember the book is okay, but it's not like the best of the best romance out there. So, and I know this book is hyped on TikTok, so like I don't think it deserves the hype, but it's an okay read, but I don't think it deserves the hype as, oh my god. I don't think it deserves the hype as like, oh, this is like one of the best romance books out there, because I don't think it is. But it's like an okay read. This book is Daughters of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This also has over 3,000 ratings on Goodreads, and I gave this 4 stars. This is one of my favorite series, YA fantasy series ever. I really, really adore this series, so I agree with this one. I'm not going to argue with them. The next is Panchiko by Minjili. Also has over 3,000 ratings on Goodreads. I gave this 5 stars. This is a stunning book. Everybody should read it. It is even criminal that it's just 3,000 ratings. It should be higher. More people should be reading this book because this book is really good. The final book is An American Marriage by Tyree Jones. This also has over 3,000 ratings and it's 4 stars. This one too, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I can't remember a lot. I think I read this in 2019, but I remember enjoying it. This book was like one of the first books that I really engaged with. Like, I remember not liking Celeste, that's like the main character in this book, at all. Like, I feel like if I read the book now, my opinion on this book would change, but I did enjoy it, and like my opinion on the characters would change. But like at that time, this book really engaged me. Like, I remember being so enraged. Like, anyway, this was a really good book. Would recommend. Yeah, got over 3,000 ratings. So I guess I kind of agree with some of the books that are like the best books ever, mostly because they're the popular books. So no surprise there that they'll be the best books that I've read. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time.